Hi, welcome to Milk and Honey Heritage Farms. I'm Heather. Thank you for being here. And today I'm going to take you along with me while we make some biscuits to go with that delicious white sauce and sausage gravy that I mixed up. So let's get to it. First of all, what we're going to want to do to make our biscuits is preheat the oven to 425. And then I am using a cast iron pan, and I put that in there to get it nice and toasty warm. So let's mix up our biscuit mix. I'm gonna get you down here so you can see what I'm doing. So what I have is a bowl right here. I'm going to add in 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and I'm not going to flatten it off because it's all right to have a little pinch extra, no big deal. And then I'm going to do about 1 teaspoon of salt, all right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix that around with a whisk to get all those different things incorporated together so you don't have it all in one section. It's all flour, salt, and baking powder all mixed together as well as you can. Okay, so that should be about it. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some cold butter, and I'm getting it right out of the refrigerator. What I've done is I cut it up into smaller pieces. You can grate frozen butter if you want. I'm adding 4 to 5 tablespoons of cold butter into this mixture. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using my hands, and I don't want to work with this too long because I don't want the butter to get too melted. But what I'm doing is I'm squeezing and pressing the butter into this mixture and getting it kind of pressed like you're squeezing and pressing. Hope that you can see that. So squeeze and press until you kind of break that butter up, and you're working kind of fast, again, because you want that butter to be somewhat cold, and you just kind of twist it in your hands a little bit, right? So that you're blending the cold butter with the mixture. And then once you think that the pieces are small enough and mixed enough, they don't have to be teensy weensy, and they're not all going to be perfect. Once you think you've gotten them mixed well enough, that'll be it for this part. Okay, let me rinse my hands, and I'll bring you, actually, you know what? I'll just leave my hands all floury because I'm going to get them messy again anyways. 1 cup of just whatever kind of milk you drink. And then you're gonna wanna mix that together. You can use a whisk, but see how it just kind of clumps in a whisk? Just get your hands in there, and you're gonna mix that around. You know what? You wash. You know, your hands were clean before you started doing this, and if your mixture is a little bit too wet, you can add a pinch of more flour. But we're gonna end up putting some flour on the countertop for these biscuits. So see, it depends on the weather and stuff. It's a little bit too wet, so I'm gonna end up adding some more flour to this mixture, and then I'll show you what's next. Getting my flour out, and I'm making a mess. I should have left my flour out, but you know what? That's how it goes. You just keep moving forward and getting it done. All right, I don't want to add too much flour because I don't want my biscuits to be dry. So I'm just gonna go a little bit at a time. All right. Scraping the sides. It's still a little bit too, you'll get used to it as you keep making them, how much flour that you want to add and not add. You know what I mean? You just want to start off with the first amount that I told you. Sometimes if it's colder or warmer in the home, depending on the season, you know. All right. And you just want to keep turning it and getting everything incorporated together well enough. Make sure you get the sides and the bottom mixed into that. It's still a little bit too sticky, so let's add a little bit more. And this is a good way for you to see, you know, that you can add more flour to the mixture. So you're just gonna press that into the flour, pulling it off your fingers. Now it's kind of fun. The kids might have fun with it. If you have any kids or grandkids, you should have fun with it too. All right, so I do believe that this is a good, nice, good consistency. See, it's not sticking to my fingers so much, right? Okay. All right, so now that you've got that, you're gonna go to a clean surface on the counter. I'm gonna move my flour container over, and you're going to want to put a tad smidgen of flour on your countertop, not a whole lot. Let's see if I can get you right there. I'm gonna put that like that, spread it out, and then I'm gonna take my dough and I'm just gonna keep rolling it into a ball, kind of like this, until all the pieces are nice and firmly kind of like pressed in, nothing's falling off, right? Okay. All right, so then what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab a rolling pin of your choice. If you don't have a rolling pin, that's fine. You can press it down with your hands. So when you use your rolling pin, you're gonna pick up some of this flour off the counter and you're gonna do this, and then we're gonna roll it. Okay. And then because I want my biscuits to be nice and fluffy, I'm gonna fold it like that. And I'm gonna roll it a little bit more, not too much. Again, we don't want this butter to get too melted, so I'm going a little bit slower just so I can show you guys how it goes. And then when I folded it over, you can fold it one time. You don't have to fold it several times. It's up to you. So I'm gonna roll it out to about 1/2 inch thick in a square or a rectangle. It doesn't have to be perfect, all right? And then you're gonna use some kind of something to cut your biscuits. And what will I use? That is the question. I wanted to give you guys a few examples. You can use a lid for cutting your biscuits. In the old days, they used to use a jar. And so if you kind of dip your jar or whatever you're using to cut your biscuits, you could have a biscuit cutter as well. You can just put it in the dough, and when you put it down, you're gonna go straight down, right? Ooh, and straight up, okay? Straight down and straight up. Straight down and up. Down and up. And then you're gonna take the extra that wasn't cut out and you're gonna fold that up again into a ball. I'm gonna set these aside because I gotta get my cast iron pan out, right? But we're gonna have to hold on. Stick with me. This isn't that hard. And I'm not even gonna use my rolling pin. See how you can just do it by your hand? About an inch thick. And then, of course, you don't want to, this one probably won't do another biscuit. Oh, maybe it will. We'll just kind of form it like a biscuit. How about that? Because it's a little bit smaller. Okay, so there's those. I'm going to wash my hands and then take you to the next step. All right, I'm going to get my cast iron pan out of the oven. Be very, very careful if you're using cast iron because it's very hot. And I'm gonna set it up on the top of the oven. Don't touch it, it's really hot. All right. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some butter and I'm gonna, excuse me, I'm gonna step right in front of you. I apologize. Gotta get the butter. So we're gonna melt about 2 tablespoons of butter in. See how it's hot? And you're just gonna kind of mix it around so you've got a somewhat even distribution of the butter in your pan. And we're trying to get this all mixed and melted. You don't have to use a cast iron pan. You can use like a baking sheet or a cookie sheet, same way. But this is a good way if you have any cast iron that you've never used before. Something pretty simple to do. All right, there's that. Now I'm gonna take my biscuits and I'm gonna lay them in my pan. Careful not to touch the sides. And my temperature on the oven, remember we preheated to 425. We're gonna leave it at 425 and we're gonna bake for 15 to 18 minutes. You're gonna wanna check, look in your oven because everybody's oven is a little bit different. We're gonna look in there and check, and once these are a nice golden brown, you're good to go. So, all right, I'm gonna pop these in the oven and I'll bring them out and show you what they turn out to look like. All right, so hopefully you keep checking on your biscuits. I really hope that if you've never made biscuits that you give this a try this week. That's your goal, okay? Can you give the biscuits a try this week? If it's not this recipe, go online or in a book and find another recipe. And if you do make homemade biscuits, please list different recipes that you use down in the comments. I'd appreciate that, and that would be fun to help everyone out for some different ideas. All right, let me get these out. Remember, you don't have to use a cast iron pan, but if you've got some and you've never used some, use it. Look at that, just lightly browned. Oh, they're nice and warm. Look at that. Be careful not to touch the pan, even if you're not using cast iron, right? So, let me get you in for a look-ski. Look at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully, without burning myself. Oh, by the way, right here I have some Italian pork, ground pork that I cooked up in some white sauce. I do have a video on how to make white sauce, and I'll link that to the end of this video if you didn't get a chance to see it, but it'll get cooked nice and good. So let me get one of these little babies out of here. Ooh, a little scary. Ooh, it's sizzling too. Okay. Look at that. What do you think? Was that a thumbs up or what? Check it out. Look at that. Look at that. All right, I'll be looking forward to your comments, and hopefully you guys try biscuits if you haven't. And if you have, please leave down different recipes for everybody to try and share. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you on the next one. Look at that. Somebody's gonna get some delicious homemade biscuits and gravy. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Mmm.